Hi everybody, welcome to a tactics video. So I'm looking at a new Astra Militarum detachment released today on Warhammer.com for us to enjoy as we get into Christmas. So it's been about 2 weeks since I've made a video, and it's been because I've been playing loads of games actually and losing loads of them. So I'm feeling a bit down, but now my attitude and spirit is back up because I've got a fantastic new set of rules to use. So this is the article on the website, warhammercommunity.com. It actually says next week, the quarterly balanced data slate for 40k will be released, which will be interesting to see what we get out of that. Because definitely from a win rate perspective, despite a lot of players still placing very well in big tournaments, Guards win rates are pretty bad at the moment. So definitely towards the bottom pile. When you look at any data set, be it statcheck.com or Goonhammer's stats as well. So next week will be interesting to see what we get there. But they have, in line with similar to what they did last year with Grotma's Christmas in 2024, they're releasing some special detachments. So I'm guessing maybe it's going to be all the armies which are struggling may get some new detachments. They've got 6 here, basically get some more powerful rules. So fantastic news here. So let's get straight into the actual new detachment. Now, a key point to make is that in the app, it isn't uploaded with this detachment yet. So if you want to use the 40k app, it's not there yet. And likewise, the points for the enhancements aren't available either. So obviously points will have an impact on which of these are good, bad, or ugly. But there obviously will be some ones you can simply look at and go, that's a good enhancement. So let's look at the actual detachment rule. So let's read it carefully, because always these little details can catch me out, maybe not you. So add 1 to the number of orders each Astra Militarum officer model from an army can issue as stated on the data sheet. So that is extra orders for the platoon command squad. That's 2 now. Ursula Creed goes from 3 to 4. A Castellan goes from 2 to 3. Lord Dreyer, the Horse Death Corps Master, and Lord Solo go to 4 each. Tank commanders go to 3, etc., etc. So you've got to love plenty. That is just great. More orders is more orders. So that's a buff. Now, when an Astra Militarum unit from your army is affected by an order, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. So, again, carefully reading that. So, when any Astra Militarum unit from your army is affected by an order, so what can't be affected by an order in the current codex? It's rattling snipers, it's Ogrins and Bolgrins, which is a key change, but to have a look at enhancement. It's the Valkyrie gunship. It is the last flying Forge World model, and it's a Cyclop demolition vehicle, and a couple of other ones I'm probably missing, like a Tech Priest Engine C, for example, etc., etc. So what I'm getting to in this point is that this actually affects the majority of the codex, because the majority of the codex can be ordered by an officer of some description, be it Lord Solar can order super heavies, regiment, squadron by the different officers across those classes. So this is a buff, obviously. So you've got real ones to hit, full stop. And this, crucially, is any order. So if you give duty and honor, you get real ones to hit. If you get move, you get real ones to hit. If you give fixed bayonets, you get real ones to hit. And within that, obviously, it's impacting you both in the shooting and the fight phase. So there's no stipulation here on the type of order or the type of phase. It just says while you're affected by an order, remember an order as per the army rule lasts until your next command phase, you get real ones to hit in both shooting and combat. So that is fantastic. So that means obviously Limit Rice Battle Tank gets real ones to hit, and then in combat when you tank shock someone for fun, you're hitting on 4s, reroll 1s to hit in combat. And this also means, and this is a comment I've already made to some of my patrons, is that it makes combat now on, say, Rough Riders, you're hitting on 2s with fixed bayonets, reroll 1s. So suddenly, our combat options have got a whole lot better, and likewise, so is everything else in the codex. Now, if the target of the attack is within range of an objective marker, reroll wound rolls of 1 as well. So that's obviously fantastic. So again, shooting and combat, if the target's on an objective, you get reroll wound rolls of 1. So this is very powerful. So obviously extra orders is fantastic, but having never-ending reroll 1s to hit in both shooting and combat, and reroll wound rolls of 1 if they're on an objective in both shooting and combat is an army-wide buff, full stop. So that's the thing, is if this said squadron or regiment and or regiment, if it said just infantry, if it said getting out of a transport, if it said squadron units, obviously it restricts the impact of the rule, but these basically have just, you can impact everything. So this army rule, this detachment rule is very powerful. And again, I'm not super duper into meta and I'm not super duper into understanding the power levels, but this feels like it'll become probably the most go-to detachment behind combined, which is obviously giving you lethal hits. So I think, again, for simplistic players like myself, mid-table players, maybe like yourself out there, is that this will just be a very easy rule to apply because obviously it always works. Whenever you give an order, you just get better. So give loads of orders and take units that can get orders. So yeah. Okay, let's look at the enhancements now, so we don't have the points. So the first is the fantastic one to see, is Commissar models only. Add the Ogren keyword to the list of units this model can issue orders to. So the orders a Commissar can issue are fixed bayonets and duty and honor. And then in the declare battle formation step, the bearer can be attached to Ogren and Bulgrim squads. So this is, Christmas has come early. We've all been good boys and girls. I certainly have been grinding out guard despite myself having loads of losses. So Christmas has come early. You can finally attach a Commissar to the Abhumans. So finally, Christmas has come in inverted commas, and finally we can have a very thematic Commissar attached to the big bullies of an Ogren or Bulgrim squad, giving him fixed bayonets and duty and honor. So that obviously is a little bit restrictive because obviously fixed bayonets is only in combat, and duty and honor only affects their OC leadership. But interestingly, if you've got a Commissar, their leadership 6, so duty and honor makes them leadership 5, which is hilarious. And then obviously you can execute one if you fail battle shock, whatever happens. But again, don't forget, if you give either of those orders to either of those units, they get reroll ones to hit or reroll wound rolls if on an objective. Yeah, so even if you gave them, let's pretend you gave an Ogren squad fixed bayonets, you then get reroll ones to hit in both shooting and combat. So this is just, and again, you can see where this is going to become quite powerful, is that it doesn't matter the order you give, and given Commissar's going to give their Abhuman friends only 2 order types, you still are becoming more effective in your output. Yeah, so this is, I'm definitely going to be using this because I've been using bricks of Ogrens and really struggled. I've basically realized I'm a trash player, I need loads of trash, but this will definitely have me trying Ogrens again with a Commissar. Right, the next one is Aquilan I, so Astra Militarum officer model only, so any officer type, be it a human or a vehicle officer. So each time you select an order, you can select the order below. Yeah, so this is an order you're giving. So each model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit within 12 inches, improve the AP by 1. So obviously, armor penetration characteristics. Interestingly, if we think about this, okay, it's ranged attack, because I was going to wonder if it was in combat, because if that was combat, it'd be fantastic. But it's ranged attacks only. Within 12, you get +1 AP. Now, the way to think about this is obviously because it's an order, this means you have to make choices for particular units. So for example, if you gave a tank order to a Limit Rust battle tank, given Limit Rust battle tank can only receive 1 order in this detachment, there are ways to play around other detachments, this means you need to choose between more AP or +1 to hit. Now do remember again, if you give this order, you are hitting on 4s, reroll 1s of any Limit Rust battle tank type. But then obviously it's a decision between, do you want to hit on 3s, reroll 1s, or do you want to hit on 4s, reroll 1s with extra AP? So given it's an order, it's potentially a bit more restrictive, as per the stratagem we'll see in a second, but this is still very good. This is obviously very good. Anything which gives out free AP without having to spend CP is fantastic. So this is very good. This is really going to benefit, I imagine, Kazkin, because Kazkin can give themselves an order and receive extra orders. And then you're going to be hitting on 3s with rapid fire, for example, and then you've got extra AP from someone else giving them order. Also, it's going to benefit Ursula Creed and her friends, because obviously she can receive multiple orders on the unit she's with. So this is very good. This is obviously very good, but given it's an order, it's a bit more restrictive than a stratagem, because you have to obviously either give 1 order, or some units can receive multiple orders. And again, don't forget, this could also be applied to, say, all the Bane Blades, because if Lord Solar gives a Bane Blade an order, it's going to be hitting on 4s and roll 1s, which maybe you're better to make a hit on 3s. But this means all the super weaponry you've got is an extra AP. So some of them are going to be like AP5, which is just comical. Well, the next two, they feel like probably the lesser good ones. And again, this will depend on the cost. And I have no idea how they would cost this, but I'm guessing probably these two might be a bit cheaper. But so Spec Op Veterans is that infantry officer only. Each time you select an order, you can select, okay, it's an order again. So basically, move to the shadows. Each time range attack targets this unit until this. Okay, so you can now give infantry basically a smoke stratagem, for example, or i.e. stealth. Yeah, so this, interestingly, again, because it's an order, and let's assume you're giving an infantry squad, you're going to be debating, do I give them -1 to hit or +1 to save? Because, again, another order you could give is take cover, which is improving their save, or do you want to instead make them harder to hit? So from a mathematical standpoint, it probably is better to make them harder to hit because that's removing more dice at the top of the funnel. So I think this is me over-engineering 40k, but if you think about like the funnel of dice rolls is that you've got the hit roll, the wound roll, the save roll. You're probably better to try and cut numbers at the top than cut numbers at the bottom, if that kind of makes sense. That's me over-engineering. But again, this is going to really benefit units which can receive multiple orders. Again, Kaskin a great example, where they could be both +1 save and -1 to hit. So suddenly you're harder to hit and you've got a better save. So that could be very good. This is probably, well, it's, again, we've got to see the points, but I'd expect to probably see this being the most expensive, this being the next most expensive, this been a little bit cheaper, and then I'm going to guess Loud Hailer, which is Astra Militarum officer model only. Each time you select a unit with this officer model to issue an order, you can do up to 12 as opposed to 6. So that's going to benefit obviously infantry orders, infantry officers, because they can only give 6, but obviously vehicles, tank commanders, regular non-tank commanders can only issue orders already within 12. So this actually will benefit officers. So that's obviously nice. If this is 5 points, fine, but I don't expect it to cost much. And the interesting other thing to observe is that for Lord Solar and Ursula Creed, because they're epic heroes, they can't receive that. So that would be very helpful on Lord Solar, but he can't receive enhancements because he's already a epic hero. But again, these are good. These are all good enhancements. None of these are like you wouldn't consider them. Again, if this is 5 points, you've got to spare 5 points, you give it to an infantry officer, why not? If you've got to spare 10 points and this is 10 points, you give it to them. And I'll definitely, obviously it depends if you use Bulgrams, but I probably will be now again after saying I wouldn't. This yes, and this yes as well, yeah. So looking very good. This is fantastic. Now Strategems. So snapshot, they're all decent. Put on my spectacles now, I'm 41, I've got to start wearing glasses. So I'm so happy this one's here. This is my favorite stratagem in Combined Arms. It's ability to give orders outside of your command phase. So this is basically identical to, this should be, and if it's wrong, please tell me, but the start of any phase. So I read this and this actually is better than Combined Arms because, yeah, so in Combined Arms, you can give an order in your opponent's command phase. You can now give an order in any phase. So, yeah, one Astra Militarum officer from your army, your unit's officer model can issue one order as if it's your command phase. Okay, so this, my interpretation, I hope is correct, is that in any phase of the game, the start of any phase of the game, you can give an order. So the way I would potentially often use it, not often, but is just basically to boost OC. So if you've moved some guys onto an objective and you haven't been able to make the OC high enough to turn off the objective for your opponent, you then give the order duty and honor in your opponent's command phase. Now in any phase, you may wish to, and you basically boost them. So this obviously is always just a good toolkit one. It could be, maybe you give them, maybe you go back to giving them the order to be hard to hit, for example, or you give them +1 save. So I think now it's the beginning of any phase, or the command phase gives you more options because, again, if you if you're not sure about giving them, say, stealth or +1 save in your opponent's command phase, but you are in later parts of their turn, this is just better to have more options. So again, maybe they charge into a unit, and like maybe they've positioned their models in a sense they're going to charge into a unit. That's when you give them +1 save, for example, at the beginning of the fight phase, for example. So this is fantastic again. So this is a good one. Right, this is also good again. So no retreat, your command phase. 1 Astra Militarum unit from your army is affected by duty and honor. So if your unit is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker remains under your control, even if no models within range of it, until your opponent controls it at the start or end of a phase. So this essentially is very similar to the Cadian shock troop ability, is now you can sticky objectives. So anything where you can sticky objectives is fantastic. For guard, it's less of an issue, typically a unit rich. If you're playing, Adeptus Custodes, for example, this is very helpful. But this again is good to have. So it's a good toolkit one. Right, veteran sharpshooters, fantastic lore names here. Is your shooting phase, 1 guard unit from your army, not being set to shoot, is until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models ignore cover. So fantastic. So again, any unit from your army, has it been affected by an order? Doesn't have to be, but any unit from your army, 1 Astra Mil. Oh, okay, here we go. So what I just said before about orders only applying to the majority of units, this now applies to all units. So rattling snipers, Avenger Strike Fighter, the Cyclops Demolition, which has no guns, it's a bit of a joke. They all ignore cover now for the cost of a stratagem for a CP. So this is fantastic. So no longer have you got to bring a Hellhound, for example, if you're doing that, but you now just ignore cover. So 1 unit from your army. So okay, I said a Hellhound. It's not as good as a Hellhound because the Hellhound strips cover indefinitely, in the sense everyone else who shoots that unit ignores cover. But this again, it means whatever you're using, you're ignoring cover, which is again a fantastic toolkit stratagem. So very good. This is looking very good. Right, next one is purging fire. I thought it said plunging fire. It says purging fire. Plunging fire, interestingly, in the military, having come from there, is about the concept of shooting things that you can't see, in the sense of like you use the actual wave of a machine gun. And I'm sorry I'm babbling, but this is very exciting. To basically shoot over cover. So as the rounds drop, that's plunging fire. Very interesting. But this is purging fire. So 1 unit from your army affected by an order. Okay, so if your unit's within range of an objective marker until the end of the phase, ranged weapons have got lethal hits. So this is again is just great. So you have now got the ability to pretend you're playing combined arms for the cost of a CP. As long as they're on an objective marker, you get lethal hits. Now, interestingly, I've just thought of this will affect indirect units. There's nothing saying here that you don't get lethal hits if you can't see. So again, I'm not saying do it. Well, maybe you could actually. This could be pretty horrible to think about actually. Again, because it buffs everything, they go back to bringing loads of Basilisks because they get +1 to hit. They're hitting on 4s, we roll 1s, and you give them lethal hits. Disgusting, but fantastic. So this again is fantastic, and that just came to me. So my little mortar team I bring of 3 Catagen jungle fighters. Here we go. So lethal hits on anything as long as that unit is on an objective. So again, very good offensively as you're pushing into your opponent. If you're pushing to no man's land, a Rogel Dawn's on there, you're getting lethal hits. And again, this is fantastic because it's lethal hits against everything. So combined arms is restrictive into the target type, be it obviously vehicles and monsters or non-vehicle monsters. This is now just everything. So voila. And I hope this isn't a joke. Like this is looking very good. Right, Mordian Minutes, fantastic name again. So your shooting phase, 1 infantry unit that's received the order front rank fire, second rank fire. Now again, as you look at the effect, so because they've received that order, and they have to be infantry, granted, until the end of the phase, each time model list makes an attack, improve the strength of that attack by 1. So when I first looked at this, I'm like, this is going to obviously buff plasma and hotshot volley guns and hotshot las guns and las guns. But given there's no stipulation about what weapon it affects, this also will affect the melters, the grenade launchers if you take them, and the sniper rifles, and plasma pistols in a Kazkin squad, for example, or Tempestus Scion squad. So this, again, is fantastic. So you're going to bring in your blob of Kazkin. They're going to give themselves front rate fire, second rate fire. They're then going to be getting real ones to hit because they've received an order from themselves. You could then give an additional order if you did give someone this one here. So someone could give them an order, which is they have got extra AP. So suddenly you've got strength 4, AP2 hotshot las guns. You've got strength 5 hotshot volley guns. You've then got strength 10 melters, strength 9 at AP4. Actually, that's strength, yeah, strength. And then you got melters at strength 10, AP5. You've got plasma strength 9, AP4. Wow, this is getting really good. So again, I'm quite excited. You can see by this. I've lost loads of games. I'm going to start winning some games again, but again, a very good stratagem. So you're going to get more output. That's going to be obviously from front rank fire, second rank fire. That's got better hits, opportunities, and you've got stuff that's just more strong. So strength 9 on plasma. So on plasma, strength 8 to strength 9 is going to basically mean you're wounding, say, light transports on a 4 versus a 5, like a Rhino, for example. And likewise, a melter hit wounding on 4s into 3s. And obviously, it ticks up if you're playing the mirror match into chimeras or chimeras, whatever you call it, is your melters go from wounding on 5s to 4s because their toughness 10, yeah? So again, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The only thing here is it's a shame it's only infantry, but you know, they can't make this too good. Right, the last one is again fantastic. So 1 CP, just 1 CP, opponent shooting phase, 1 Astra Militarum unit from your army. Any unit you pick, you can pick anything you want. It could be rattling snipers, it could be a Cyclops demolition vehicle, it could be a Bane blade, it could be infantry squads, it could be whatever. It could be Sly Marbo. Is until in the phase, you basically worsen that attack's AP by 1. So owning and shooting, but essentially armory contempt for Astra Militarum, fantastic. So if this was working also in combat, it'd be even better, but we can't do everything. So owning the shooting phase, your entire army can use a stratagem, just like veteran sharpshooters. It's looking really good. So I'm very excited by this. I've had a horrible run. I've lost like 8 games in a row because I've tried different like archetypes, that type of thing, and basically realized I have to go back to just playing trash armies, like loads of units. But certainly this has got me quite energized. And again, I'm not the strongest player. I'm not like a competitive top table player, but from Jeff's basic brain, this is looking really good. An army rule that affects detachment rule that fundamentally affects your entire army, with a couple of key exceptions. You can now make commissars very thematic with a commissar. Not a commissar with Bolgrams and Ograms, making them more effective. Some very strong enhancements supported by a great toolkit with some very good enhancements, correction stratagems. So again, if we just think about all the detachments, again, for us simple players like myself, combined arms was the go-to, but I feel like this, on balance of the fact you're getting more effective shooting output and combat, which is crucial, and more effective wound rolls if on an objective, which is the aim of the game, is obviously clearing objectives. This probably will definitely have as much offensive output, if not more, as combined arms. Because again, this is making you more accurate. In a lot of scenarios, you're wounding better, and then in numerous ways to engineer for enhancements and or stratagems, you're again becoming quite offensive, more sort of angry in that sense. An basically armor contempt and shooting is fantastic. So that means that we can obviously think about scenarios. It's like getting hit by the most powerful anti-tank weapons like a melter or some sort of crazy railgun, which is AP4. If you're in cover, that AP4 goes to AP3, and then you've got this, you're now AP2, which means you're saving against like a rail rifle, for example, or something like that, on a 4+. So you've gone from saving on, well, if you're in cover, it's you get the point. It's making us even more survivable. So this is looking very good. I'm excited, hopefully you are. Christmas has come early. I'm happy because I've been a good boy playing guard and losing lots of games and supporting the win rates. So maybe that's why we've got it, because our win rates have suffered. So what do you think? Are you excited? You can tell I'm excited about it because I've got a new way. And that's the thing is, I think, then again, let me know what you think in the comments, but guard have started to feel quite stale. It really has. I've tried Hammer the Emperor. I've tried, which I'm terrible at, by the way. I tried Recon. I was terrible at that. I've even tried, like, I've actually bought a Knight Lancer. This is the beginning of my Knight Lancer. I tried to use that. Terrible at it. I'm still going to paint it because it's a cool model. But I went back to Combined. I just wasn't excited by it because Combined is relatively straightforward. This looks quite straightforward. I'm not going to say it's like tricky or fancy, and that's probably what's going to do really well, is because average idiots like Jeff will be able to apply this quite quickly and probably see good results because it's just making you more effective in your output. Yeah, with some ways to make you more defensively strong as well. So what do you think? Are you excited? Hopefully you are, like I am. Christmas has come early. Let me know what you think. So nice to see you all. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and want to support me, you can do so with a like, comment, or by subscribing. Join my Patreon platoon if you're super keen, where you get caught up in the roll call end of each video, or just watching the rest of my videos, which include everything from tactical discussions like this, the hobby aspect, and also sometimes lore videos, including some silly shorts, like meme shorts as well. Massive thanks to all my supporters, be it the Patreon platoon members, channel members, and just for those of you who continue to watch and like my videos. So keep your bayonet sharp, lasgun oiled. Faith from the Emperor strong. Patreon platoon, sound off.
Tank Commander Glenn, Tank Commander Mitchell, Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten, Lieutenant Burke Nielsen, Lieutenant Smith, Colour Sergeant DuPont, Sergeants Adal, Scott, Colonel Merrill, Veterans Gibson, Hall, Lundeen, Guardsman Beard, Coquelin, Easingwood, Hills, Lyons, Malik, Nitton, Medicae Rolfe, Tontkin, Conscripts England, Evanghan, Goodwin, Honorary Members Balgrim King, Syker Smith, Cyan Gaylard, Aquilon Nassine.